a new program was introduced in 2001.
Okay.
And it was because the numbers of the midwifery workers were few, and they wanted a quick fix to be able to train midwives directly to augment the shortfalls. Okay. And because of that, we had directly trained midwives who were not.
Okay.
And it continued. They couldn't curtail the program up since 2001, and that is why we had direct midwives who were not nurses, and we had to put in the name at a point to satisfy this group of people. Yes. So that was the genesis of GRNM or GRNA then. When this group started, it was about 2,900 people in 1960. March 20th, 1960, that was the birth. So you can see me wearing my 60th anniversary cloth. Yes. Now we are 65 years.
65 years.
And it shows how far we have come.
Yeah. I think you are just about 2 years less older than Ghana.
Oh yes, because 3 years. 3 years. He said, as I initially mentioned, that her name and her picture was on the Ghana CD. The patron for the association was the wife of the president. That was Nkrumah. She was the patron. She was the patron of Ghana Nurses Association.
1960.
1960. Patron Ghana Nurses Association. And as a patron, that's how they revered nursing. They were members of the Constitution Review Committee of the country. They were members that they were part of the key stakeholders of the country as of the Ghana Registered Nurses Association at the time. And the group from and that has been our trend.
To date,
we are apolitical. As I sit here as an executive member of GR in even though
you are neutral person.
We are very neutral, including our president, Mrs.
Members must also be neutral.
Our members are very neutral. When it comes association matters, we come as one voice, we have a collective interest, and then we fight for it. Great. If you look at the leaders, so Mrs. Dosiakise reigned from, the first president reigned from 1960 to 1970. At the time,
that's 10 years.
That's 10 years. So at the time, they had like five years tenure. So 5 years, and then you go for a re-election, then you go to another 5 years. From 1970, it was changed to the 4-year tenure.
Okay.
And the second president came. The second president was Mrs. Let me put their names here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second president was Professor Ayodele.
I like the way you want to refer to the book so exactly. That we get the accurate information. Because our members are watching and they must know what has existed then. So nurses, if you are watching, you should know what has existed for your union. The leaders who have brought your union this far. Go ahead, please.
Exactly. So my grandfather used to tell me that the faintest ink is better than the best brain. Because when you write it in the book, no matter how faint it is, you can always refer to it.
Yes.
It's readable, you can always refer to it. But the best brain, you can lose it when you are no more. You can lose it when you are not there. So this is a treasure.
It is.
And I brought it here for a purpose. I could have been talking about this history without referring. But I want to refer to it. So Professor Ayodele Akiyomi,
thank you.
He was the second president, and he was there from 1970 to 1974. And then it was followed by Madam Edith Sakikote. She was president from 1974 to 1982.
So far, you've mentioned 3 women.
3 presidents.
Women, and they are
3 women. They are all women. Good. In fact, if you look at the history of that,
you finish with the message. Then we'll look at that. Yeah.
Then the 4th president is Miss Sarah Robertson Addison. She reigned from 1983 to 1986.
Great.
And the next president was Miss Comfort Ayima Asiama. She ruled from 1986 to 1992. Great. And then it was followed by Mrs. Emma Helen Banga. She ruled from 1995 to 2003.
Okay.
And then the
1995 to 2003.
Yes, that's like 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
And then Mrs. Alice Dakwan Asare Alot, I know you know that one very well.
Very well.
She reigned from 2003 to 2011.
Yes.
I was privileged to serve in Auntie Alice's administration as the regional secretary.
You were very young there.
Very young then, very young.
Yes.
Very young there. I was the regional secretary for Western region, very enthused. And I remember her in one of the meetings. I was with David. You remember David Tinkran, now General Secretary. He said, "You two, the young men, look at your faces. You need to learn, and you need to study, and you need to observe, so that tomorrow you become leaders of the association." And I don't know whether it was a prophecy. And years down the line, we have become national executives.
You were a good listener and you were a good,
exactly. We used to ask a lot of questions at the time. Why can't we do things very speedily? Why can't we take on these actions?
Yeah.
And she was cautioning us that we need to learn, we need to read, so that tomorrow we can become leaders.
Very well.
All right. So after Mrs. Alice Dakwan Alote came Dr. Kweku Asante-Krobia.
Yes.
And you remember?
I remember him as well. Yeah,
Krobia was from 2012 to 2019. 2012 to 2019, and after Dr. Krobia. So you can see that Krobia was the eighth the only male president at the time. So over the years, we have had female.
And currently
we still have a female president, Mrs. Perpetua Ofori-Ampofo. She took over in 2020, and she's still the president of the association. She's in her second term, and probably in the next 2-3 years, as the 9th president of GRNMA. So that's our trajectory.
I think you guys have come so far, yes, and it's good. Thank you for the information that you've just relayed. Now, looking at the early stages of the Ghana Registered Nurses, Association, what were some of the major, struggles that you had to go through during your formation stage, after formation stage? So let's look at somewhere around the 1960s to the 70s to the, 80s. What were some of the things that the nurses were fighting for?
That's great. So, from 1960 was more of Nkrumah's rule. And Nkrumah's reign was more of a formative time. A lot of the structures were being formed. A lot of issues about salaries, conditions of service were under negotiation. So you can see from the time the leaders were going through a lot of difficult times, trying to press home good salaries for nurses and midwives. However, I think that being held in high esteem and having the patron, the first president didn't have a lot of difficulties with issues about salary negotiation. The president was able to remunerate them in a way. However, when you look at the subsequent presidents, they had very tough time. So GRNMA in 1973 embarked on strike action.
It was a major one?
It was a major strike.
A very big one.
A major strike action. In fact, we started the strike action from remember the Unigov?
Unigov.
The Unigov, the Union government.
Yes, the Union government.
That was our first strike action. If you realize that conditions of service were and unfortunately and look, it carries on. GRNMA embarked on strike so that for the benefit of our members.
Yes.
It says industrial action is the employee's cessation of work or refusal to work or to continue to work for the purpose of compelling the employer to agree to conditions of work that could not be achieved through negotiation. That is what ICNC's industrial action is. The first industrial action by the association was in 1973, as I mentioned, when all professional bodies came together to protect the formation of the union government in March 1978. And this went on with 1989. There were other industrial action, and these events were on negotiations. Then 1992, there was an industrial action. 1999,
there was an industrial action.
2003,
yes, before
2005, 2006, 2020, and then the next one. I'll touch on each of them.
We'll go for a break. Viewers, I think this is getting more interesting. We're going for a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this very interesting conversation on the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. We'll be right back.
Walatu, Walasa, Daddy, I want some. Yeah, Mirisu, me won't, Mirisu, me cry. Mambo, Daddy, I want some.
To Walasa, your Labor Digest program here on Clock TV. We have in our studio Mr. Philemon Japon, the National Deputy Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Mr. Japon, thank you very much. And before we went on break, you had outlined a number of strike actions that happened within the Ghana Registered Nurses Association as an association, the number of strike action they had against the government. Can you give us one of the major ones that really took place and what really happened and what was the purpose for that strike action?
So the major strike action at the time happened in 1992. 1992, and it happened the 13th May to the 26th of June. That is 6 weeks solid.
6 weeks
of
strike action.
Strike. That's the longest strike in the history of
what was the purpose of the strike?
It was on same conditions of service, and it was as a result of the government's, the employer at the time's failure to heed to the plight of. They had earlier on declared a strike for a week, and they were called back to a negotiation table. Actions went wrong. For some time, the employer failed to heed to the demands of the leaders, and they declared a strike.
They declared.
Who was
then the president?
1992. We should go back to the.
I think it was a lady.
So that's why. 1992 was Mrs. Comfort Aima Asiama.
Good.
She ruled 1986 to 1992.
It means that getting.
She was just
she has to achieve something.
She has to achieve something for nurses and midwives, and she felt that the employer take us for granted. They went on a very long.
If I could recall, it means that 1992 was a year of the Fourth Republic.
Exactly, we had just moved from. They might have gone during the military, but not so long because at that time
military rule.
Yeah. So if you look at our history, even if you look at the 89, the time we're being tested by the security agencies. They were just running head scatter, looking for the president, looking for the
so
national
kind of
executive intimidation in a way, looking for them to arrest them, to imprison them. times, it wasn't very easy to be a union leader. I think civilization has helped all of us move. The intimidation, imprisoning union leaders, maltreating them into a bit of human rights. The civilizations of people are shunning from abuse and all that. But that was the major strike
for the Ghana registered nurses.
In fact, they was called off by the employer, the government at the time, signing a memorandum of understanding on the conditions of service together with the Catholic bishops and the union leaders. So
there had to be a
religious intervention for the ministers had to come in. Then the had to yield and the GRN had to use. So I'm sure they came into a certain fair agreement that, okay, so let's agree on this one. And it's what's called of the 6-week strike
action.
That was a major one.
It's rather unfortunate.
I saw the 2005 strike. I saw the 2006 strike. Those ones were on the DHA. The additional duty hour. Yes, the midwives were being cheated. Meanwhile, they were doing majority of the work.
Yes.
And if you take away those strike actions, there wasn't any industrial action until 2016 when we threatened strike. Anti-Crobia, and we wear red armbands when we were about to go, and it was on the 8th, the same 8th, this figure 8. Elements on the conditions of service, and at the moment we have 8 of them, and I'm sure some I don't know.
Months ago, you do with 8 elements that have been outlisted. And this is under the leadership of Madame Perpetua.
Exactly. And as I said earlier, JRNM is very apolitical. Our president does not speak on her own. The National Council. So let me touch briefly on the structures of the association.
Very well. I was going to
do that.
Go ahead. Right from the onset of the association.
What is the General Assembly that was called National Delegates Conference. Conference is made up of 20 representative delegates for ordinary conference from every region. 30 delegates from for election conference. That's a congress. Every 2 years we meet, and then a group of delegates come together to take decisions for the association. It's the highest decision-making body association. So, biennial in the northern region, in Bolga, and still run the old administrative region, the 10 old administrative regions. They will bring delegates, and when they come, we will look at our constitution, issues about our finances, issues of our committees, every aspect of the association. And when we come together like that, we take decisions, and the decisions go
to the mouthpiece.
To the mouthpiece.
Yes.
Good. So that is the made up of 29 executives. The 29 executives are the national executives, 20 representatives from the like the parliament of the association. The National Council meets a quarter. Every 3 months we have a major meeting, and in the National Council meeting, each region, West region, Ashanti region, Central, Greater, every region, they'll bring issues that on policy, issues that border on practice. On care, medical issues that concerns nurses, and we take decisions based on that. So that's the National Council. So in Western region, when I used to be chair of the Western region, and the police also was co-opted into a district on its own. So we had like 24 districts. In the metropolis, we had 4 of them. So making like 27, sorry.
27 for Western region alone.
For Western region alone. And if you take other regions like Eastern region, 24, Ashanti region, they have the largest, they have like 46 districts. Greater Accra, they have like about 13 or 14 districts. But even though their districts are few, their numbers are more in the district. So all these districts come together to form the regional council. So when we have the national council meeting, to have the regional council meeting, and the regional council meeting will translate into a district council meeting. So the district council meeting made up of the facility rep, and then the facility executives and the district executives, and they go down to the membership. So GRNMA communicates from top to down, down to the grassroots, to the latter part.
In fact, I think your structure is well coordinated.
So I just have to send a message on the National Council, and the National Council will send it to the Regional Council, forward it to the District Council, and then forward it to the facility reps. And within a split of second, the message goes down to the entire.
So a nurse who finds herself working, let's say, somewhere in Afram Place or overseas areas in Ghana.
Afram Place. When I happened to chair the media committee at the national level. So I went to Afram to video recording of nurses at a remote.
So let me just, what is the plight of a nurse working in a remote area in Ghana?
A nurse working in the remote area in Ghana wants rural incentive allowance to be implemented. It's part of the 8 items that we mentioned.
One of the major issues.
The 8 items, the rural incentive allowance, goes to only the nurses at the remote areas. They don't have to go to school. Some of them have
their family,
families, in fact, and then travel there to render care. That is what they want. That's the first step. Now, the second thing is that they want to opportunity for further studies. If I've worked in the rural area for 3-4 years, why don't you bring me back to the city and go to school? Others will come to relieve from that, and then I can also continue.
Because they are themselves in the urban areas or the cities more,
are able to do short courses, are able to go to. I happen to serve from the rural areas. I work at the district level years before coming to Accra to continue my opportunity to be able to speak well for our members, knowing how difficult it is to work in the rural area. And the third thing is that they want, apart from the salary, the rural incentive allowance, and then they want folks to be able to assist them to put decent courtesies. Previously when you put hospitals up, you have to build a quarters for the nurse and the doctor. Yes, so at least when the nurse is there, he has a decent accommodation to work. Now, sometimes it's only the in charge that is occupying the quarters.
The rest are in mad houses.
They are in touch houses. And you see these beautiful nurses struggling and all that, suitcase and all that. It's not an easy thing. So I think that it's a policy shift that needs to
look at
the critical look at, so that we give them the hope that
nurses sacrifice a lot, and we really admire.
So back to our strike action and the communication. I
want you to round up on that. Yes.
So you can see that what led to the 6-week strike action was, I don't want to say intransigent, but I don't have
any other way to use for a want of a better
push out of the employer at the time, and we are hoping that we are not getting there. Because at the time, we embarked on strike for over a week, and the cry of the Ghanaian was so bad. We are not like that. That's unlike
and being committed to your
work. Exactly. We are so committed to our work. In fact, we have sworn oaths to render care to the public. Whether they are rich or poor, no matter their political affiliation, and no matter how angry or how tolerant they are. And when I was, sometimes we had to make contribution to transfer patients on an ambulance.
With your own money?
With our own money. I have transfer a next facility. After doing a cesarean session, a person is bleeding, we don't have stabilize the patient, we mobilize money, get an ambulance, get enough, just a little resource to be able to take the patient for the patient to be alive. Some people name their kids after us because of the services that we rendered. Now, the ordinary nurse, the ordinary midwife is not watching a little food on his table to be able to rent a place in Accra, rent a place in Kumasi, a place
at Bodhi.
At Bodhi. At Omra. We put in rent and we put in granted us. Each item that was implemented. Thank you.
How about
okay, so at the moment, the number of nurses and midwives, we have about 24,000 midwives. So together, we are looking at 128,000 nurses and midwives.
Wow, and they are all on the GOG payroll.
128,000 are on the GOG payroll. We have private nurses and midwives that are not on GOG payroll. They are practicing for SNAIDS, Bank Hospital, the private hospitals that we have in the country and in other districts as well. So they are not captured under GOG.
Let's look at
those under GOG. So for those under GOG, 28,000 of it, about 95,000 and midwives belonging to the Ghana Registered.
That's a huge association.
It means some leaders are formidable, they are credible. We were we came here through credibility. We've worked and we've served. We didn't to get to where we.
And the association is standing strong.
We have structures since 1960. So you can the history. It tells how government upon government have tried to put impediment, have tried to put ways, and it has not succeeded, and it has not worked. I don't think it will work this time as well. Even though we have a few of our nurses who have broken out of the association, we are calling them to come back home. What we stand here for,
looking at your good job,
looking at the job, is for nurses. I will not take GRNMA away. Krobia didn't take it away.
Yes.
Alex Adakwan's Alote didn't take it away.
Previous leaders have not taken away.
Who was the first to ICN. And ICN in its own interest knows that every formidable association must have one union.
More especially.
And they will only affiliate one union, and that is GRNMA. There is
actually this simple question.
Okay.
Who should be a nurse? In other words, I'm looking at somebody being some of the qualities that you should have, both morally, intellectually, and also, I would say, in the embodiment of yourself, as a human being.
All right. So who should be a nurse? Eddie, when you go to the hospital, most times the doctor comes to do, if you're for, let's say, an hour, in the typical, he goes around bed to bed, patient to patient, and attending to you, he goes away.
Yeah.
You will have nurses and midwives who will stay with you 24/7.
24/7.
So if you have a nurse who is not intelligent, a nurse who is not skillful, a nurse who is ill-motivated, a nurse who is not committed to the work, then you are doomed as a patient. For somebody to qualify as a nurse, for somebody to even want to be a nurse, you must be a passionate somebody.
Very well.
You must be caring. You must be tolerant. He came to you unpleasant.
Yeah.
Any in 2005, I worked at Confanoche, D5. D5 is where the most critical found it.
Okay.
And within the 5 patients, the 5 people, within an hour, this one is dead, we cover another person is dead, we bring another person. D5 is so difficult a place. I worked there for some nursing and for you.
Yeah.
If the doctor, if he's solid, in fact, I was a good anatomy student. I did very well in anatomy.
So you got an award for that.
Yeah, when I came for my annual after my Bachelor of Science in Lagos, the person who was for my MPhil. He was ready, but in at Legon, the least qualified person will have aggregate 8.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that some of the private schools do not take those standards into consideration, and they take a certain grade line.
Very well. We'll come
Even
back.
that, you still have very intelligent people qualifying as nurses and midwives. And when you qualify, you have to even go back to learn skill. It's not about book. It's not about getting A or B. It's about a skill.
There's a lot to it when it comes to be a nurse or we are on your show, Walatu. We looking at the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Still having a finance man, Chapon, who have so far taken us through the history of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Mr. Philemon, I want to ask you, currently, what is the relationship Ghana Registered and Midwives Association with your mother, body as in the Ministry of Health? And can touch on other stakeholders, Ministry of Finance, of Employment. Comes to issue in the association.
I mean, cordial relationship with them over the years. We visit the ministry every now and then, discuss issues that border on conditions of service, border on the issues that border on new nurses who have completed school and they are seeking for employment, training allowance, the gym time and all that. However, there has been a change. The new government just took over office. It's been just 6 months. They are still trying to find their feet. Even with that, we have visited them like about
a couple of times.
4 to 6 times. Okay. We've had meetings, we've had engagements. We had a courtesy call on the minister when he came to office.
Nice.
Series of discussion, even with respect to our conditions of service that had not been implemented. Okay. We've had engagements with agencies like the Ministry of Finance. We paid a visit there to follow up on our issues. They are all new. So at the moment, we have to brief
the current situation.
Exactly.
And that there is no ababase.
Exactly. It's a continuous thing. That's what we know. Yes. In fact, when we visited the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the former CEO has been changed. It's now Dr. Smith Graham. That's now he was there previously. In fact, previous conference was signed by him.
So he's privy to the issues.
He's privy to the issues. Yeah. So he's new, but he's not new. He's been there and he knows the history of negotiation. Yeah. We have visited. We have with the harassment of this has a bit of let me say cold water poured on the whole thing. I believe that going forward we can reignite the relationship and make the conditions of service that has been signed. It is going for nurses and midwives, not only GRNMA members. And what we are fighting for is not for us as a union, it's for nurses and midwives. So wherever they find themselves, they are going to benefit from the same conditions of service we are fighting for. So the ministry must know and appreciate the role we are playing. We are stakeholders in the health workforce. When we pull out from service, the effect that comes. Yeah. And that is the last resort. When being given opportunity to
that's when you have
that force push us.
Leadership, what are you doing?
Leadership, what are you doing? Leadership, we are not hearing
that
anything.
That is the only language that government
In fact,
understands.
In this industrial action, our members started the whole thing from the grassroots. They were not ready to work. They were not ready to take all the excuses were given on behalf of the employer anymore. And it should tell the employer that we are not doing politics here. We are very apolitical, and we want them to do the right thing. So the relationship, I think, will be bridged as we go forward. Since we are the largest union in the healthcare system.
It's really true. Now, let's look at your affiliation with other unions within the country and even internationally.
Okay, so let me start with the international affiliation. So as I mentioned earlier, GRNMA is affiliated to the ICN, International Council of Nurses.
And where is their headquarters?
ICN is Switzerland.
It's Swiss, Geneva.
Geneva. Yeah. So the ICN has over the years been able to hold nurses together. And that's the more reason why nurses and midwives are heard everywhere, in every country. And because of that, GRNMA commits to ICN. And ICN does not only speak for nurses, it seek to look at international issues, policies, directions that
on health issues.
On health issues that will shape in the discussion and prevent mass death, casualties, issues that happen in wars, war crimes, and then treatment for the nurses and midwives as well. Because we have to look at the conditions of service of nurses and midwives. GRNA is also affiliated to WASUM. WASUM is the West African Health Sector Unions Network. And it's a couple of health sector unions that come together. GRNA is affiliated to PSI, the Public Services International. GRNMA is affiliated to CNMF. CNMF is Commonwealth Nurses and Midwife Federation. And it's for the Commonwealth countries. You know the Commonwealth countries, they have things in common in terms of the training, in terms of the how do you call it? The nature of work, the scope of work and all that. And it makes it even easy for nurses and midwives who are trained in Ghana to go abroad and work
within a Commonwealth country.
Within the Commonwealth country. So you can see UK poaching, Canada poaching, US poaching Ghanaian nurses to go and work, because we have very good nurses and midwives in Ghana. And locally we have the, how do you call it, the forum.
The forum as well.
You know, forum. Closer is part of forum.
My boss is the current
part. Nat, your boss is the current.
So we have Nat, Ghana Medical Association.
In fact, GRNA used to be affiliated to TUC. From the beginning. If you look at the 1960 down the line. I mentioned
I think when Kwame Nkrumah was like, all unions should go
go under TUC and all that. But you know, the specific role and specific the issues about nursing and midwifery was so
peculiar
and unique in a way. So TUC could not address the issue, so we needed to be able to do a proper negotiation and proper conditions of service for them. That's why GRNA came out of TUC.
You cut the umbilical cord, so now you are not part of TUC.
And then we are part of the Health Sector Occupational Pension Scheme. I mean, in fact, GRNA holds or sits as part of this scheme to manage the pensions of health sector workers and the likes.
That's good. I think you are doing a good job in Ghana. Now, let's look at the way forward for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association and the healthcare system in Ghana.
Okay, so in rounding up, I think that we need to transcend into working off the hook or trying to solve problems extempo or handling issues, knee-jerk approach of handling issues into policy direction, where issues bordering on care are put into policy, where issues on... So let me touch on some of the two things. So as an association, we have 6 strategic plans that we're dealing with, but I'll touch on 2.
Okay.
And one of them is influencing health policy. So as part of our workings as leaders and as executives, we come up with policy directions that will shape in the course of care. If you look at the issues about migration, we have a paper on migration. We have tabled discussions. We have had sittings, conferences, meetings to look at bilateral engagements. So we have engagement with maybe UK, US. At the moment, we have one rolling with Barbados where nurses periodically are moved from Ghana to Barbados to go and work. But we need to shape in the discussion so that those who are going on their own can be brought into the picture. We have a migration desk, a migration policy as a country where when you work for a number of years, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you qualify to migrate to any other country.
To go
and
work.
The country must benefit from your transition. Whilst you go there to work, you are going to be paid. The country will be given some remuneration of a sort to help beef up the training. The second policy issue that we tabled was converting all NTCs into degree awarding institutions. As we speak, we are still training certificate holders, we are training diplomates, and we think that the countries that are poaching us for nurses and midwives are all looking for degree nurses. What stops us from converting our NTCs into degree awarding institutions, beefing them up, resourcing them to be able to train degree nurses? Ghanaian nurses are very good. And when we do that, we will not only increase care and broaden knowledge, but will also increase marketability. The nurses that go out there to work will be able to get better remuneration, and in effect, will be able to match up with what the national or the international demands
market wants. Yeah. Very well. Getting end of our discussion, I want to know, what particular message do you have for government?
I want our largest employer, ministry agencies under it, the Ghana Health Service, the charge institutions, that the association is apolitical. The association is very ready to sit at table for negotiations. The association is ready to tie knots with them to be able to rule and to lead nursing and midwifery into higher heights and higher echelons. The unfortunate thing is that when we pull out or we lay down our tools, it leaves the ordinary Ghanaian who cannot offer services abroad suffering, and we don't want that. That's not our nature. So we want them to heed to our plight as soon as we bring it on the table, and be able to meet us halfway and be able to solve the issues that bother us on care.
Very well. So this is a call on government to act before the nurses act on strike. Please do that for us. Now, let's look at your message for your members.
Our members out there, as leaders, we will continue to work for you. We'll continue to guide and lead you into greater things. Our quest is that every Ghanaian nurse midwife will be well motivated to be able to deliver the care that they deserve to give at the remotest part of Ghana, wherever you find yourself. I want you to have trust for leadership, have trust for the people you voted for, and know that we are going to do a good job for you. And for those who have broken out of the association, the few people who have broken out of the association, there's no mistake in writing our, how do you call it, history, and having our logo and our motto being unity is strength. Please come back home. Let's have one formidable front, one formidable association that seeks to the welfare of the ordinary nurse, ordinary midwife out there. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, viewers, all too soon we have come to the end of another interesting revelation of a powerful workforce, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GRNMA. It is clear that the GRNMA has gone through struggles and challenges, and that their success today has not been on a silver platter. Mr. Philemon Japo, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We are grateful for your insight and perspective. You've really shared a lot today, not only as a union leader, but as someone who carries and lived the experience of every nurse and every midwife who has ever fought and to be seen, heard, and respected. To our viewers, Walatu Walasa, it's not just a show, it's a mirror. A place where the unseen stories behind Ghana's workforce are brought to light. This has been your host, Edmond Akwe, and I leave you with this quote. We make a living by what we get, but we make life out of what we give. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay strong, stay purposeful, and be good to your work.
Down.
Clog TV, beyond the policy.